Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Africa, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. America, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze.
You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle, Washington, USA.
Thank you so much for joining me for today's episode. This is episode 269 of the African Father in America podcast. And I am truly privileged to be here with you one more time, before the end of the week. My name is Simon Javan Okello, and I am just setting up our space on Clubhouse in order for us to start our incredible session today. But before I continue, I want to introduce our guest for today. We have an incredible guest from Jazz for Peace. We have Rick De La Rata. Rick, how are you doing today?
Very good. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Wonderful. So Rick is going to be here with us for the whole show, and we are going to talk a lot about the work that he's doing with Jazz for Peace, where he has traveled and performed in multiple countries across Africa, from Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, Rwanda. He's been doing a lot of wonderful work through his music and his organization, and we are going to learn all about that today. And also we are going to learn, as usual, we come here with an African proverb, and we are going to learn about Rick's perspective about this African proverb. Today our proverb is from Cameroon. We go all the way to West Africa in Cameroon, and the proverb itself says that lying can get you a wife, but it won't keep her. Lying can get you a wife, but it won't keep her. I have our 3 nuggets of wisdom from this proverb. I'm going to share them in just a moment. And also, I want to encourage you, if you're watching the show live, I want to encourage you to make sure you share the link to the show. If you're on Clubhouse and if you're on YouTube, I want you to also make sure you subscribe to the channel, and you also share the link to the show. Again, we have a special guest, and the structure of the show is that we are going to talk about the proverb. We are going to hear Rick's perspective on the proverb, and then we are going to hear a childhood story, a story that inspires Rick with the work that he's doing with Jazz for Peace. And then we will talk about some of his amazing accomplishments with Jazz for Peace. And then from there we will hear from some of you, our wonderful audience members who are listening in and watching. And then after that we have a special performance. Rick has a keyboard right in front of him, and he's going to play 1 or 2 of his songs to wrap up our session and to end the week on a different vibration. So these are the 3 nuggets of wisdom that you can put somewhere on a notepad, and these nuggets of wisdom are inspired by this Cameroonian proverb that says, lying can get you a wife, but it won't keep her. Number 1, be truthful in your actions and words, as this will build trust and relationships that are more likely to last. Number 2, don't make promises you can't keep, as this will only lead to disappointment and frustration. And number 3, honesty is always the best policy. Even if it may be difficult in the moment, honesty still remains the best policy. So again, thank you to our viewers and our listeners. And now I want to bring on our special guest, my friend, and anybody who is doing something to bring peace in Africa, to bring transformation in Africa, is someone that I consider a friend. So Rick, I want you to first of all share your own perspective. When you hear this proverb from Cameroon, lying can get you a wife, but it won't keep her. What is it that comes to your mind, Rick? Share with us your thoughts. So there's a lag. There's a slight lag, and
Well, what comes to my meditation that we have Yeah, can you hear me?
I hear you. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. There's a connection challenge, but keep going.
So what comes to my mind is okay. So what comes to mind, yeah, every day we have this temptation
Yeah, we are definitely having a bigger challenge. The lag is really long, and I'm not sure what we are going to do about it. Uh, Rick, I think the best thing you might want to do is to try using your cell phone data in order for the connection to be better. So feel free to jump off of the show and then come back in, because at the moment we are having serious trouble hearing you. So if you can, you can jump off and then come back on. We will be delighted to have you back. So again, to all our listeners and all our viewers, it's always a joy being here with you. I can't believe that we've been here for the entire week, And remember, this is nothing new to us anymore. We've been doing this show for over 2 years now. I have been looking at a lot of the content I was pushing before January 2021, and I honestly think we've been doing this longer than I thought. So I just thank you for standing with us and for uplifting African culture. And today's guest is someone that also exemplifies what other people who are not African can also do to contribute to the betterment of Africa. So I just want to thank Ben B. I see you there, and Adam, I see you. Feel free to join us on the stage, and also take a minute and share the link to this room with your friends and community. Anybody that you feel would be a great addition to our conversation now. This is a great time for you to add them. And also, I want to see if our guest will be able to have a stable connection this time round. So forgive me as I set this up.
Now this, can you hear me now?
I hear you very well, Rick. Let's see how this looks like. Okay. It seems great now. Can you say something? I just want to hear you add anything in terms of your introduction.
I still notice, yeah, I still notice the lag between me talking and what you see. Is the lag better?
It's much better
Can you hear
now.
me?
It's much better now.
Wow, I'm very surprised. Okay.
Yeah, it's much better now. We will continue on, and I was asking you what your own interpretation is of today's proverb, and today's proverb from Cameroon says that lying can get you a wife, but it won't keep her. Lying can get you a wife, but it will not keep her. So the floor is yours. Share with us your thoughts when you hear this proverb, please.
Yes, I believe that what it is trying to tell speaks to me in the sense that almost every day, or even every day, we are tempted with the opportunity to say something that isn't true and get a temporary benefit from the deception. But not only is that deception going to be temporary, but there will be a price to pay from it. And, often when the time comes to pay for that deception, it often takes away all of the gains that you had, to the point where you wish you had never been deceiving in the first place.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Not only that, yeah, not only that, but often there are compounding injuries that will result from that. So in your mind, you think you're just getting ahead in this one area, but what happens over time is that lie needs to be upheld. And so you have to keep lying, and you have to keep covering up, and you have to spend all kinds of time and energy that you never budgeted when you first lied in order to deceive and get the temporary benefit. You never factored in all of the future lies that you might have to tell to keep that going, and all of the effort and all of the time that you put in. And all of that ends up taking away from your own goals and dreams that you needed that energy in order to achieve. And so what happens is you will often suffer in a bigger way than you ever imagined. It might cost you your dreams, it might cost you your goals, and it might cost you relationships that are sacred.
I love
So
that.
it's a big price to pay.
I love that.
For what ultimately is a relatively small gain that does not even survive.
I love that. Yeah, lying puts you in a situation where you might never recover. And I appreciate that. I want to just thank you for your first response and welcome our guests who are joining us live. We have a live audience on YouTube and also on Clubhouse. I would love to see where you are all joining us from. Just put the name of your country in the chat so that we can just give you a quick shout out. And if you're on Clubhouse, make sure you share the link to the room and also ping your friends and community to join us for today's conversation, where we are hosting Rick Del Rata of Jazz for Peace. Now we want to continue on with our conversation here, Rick, and one of the questions I love asking guests that join me here is a story from your childhood, somewhere around 12 to 24 years, something, even 8. I normally share a story when I was around 8 years old, when I was distributing milk and bread in my neighborhood in Kenya. And it was a very, very challenging work for me to do as a kid. But the days of doing that work shaped who I am today. So I want you to share with us a story that inspires the work that you do with Jazz for Peace, and also a story that just drives you as a leader today.
Well, one thing that happened with me as a child that turned out to be a pretty major event in my journey was I was staying awake on Christmas Eve waiting to see Santa Claus, because I knew he was coming and I had never seen him. And every year I was trying to, stay awake long enough, and I would fall asleep and fall asleep and fall asleep. So this one year I tried so hard, and I stayed awake, and I finally heard some commotion in the downstairs. I was upstairs, and I had to be very careful because my parents were very upset at this activity and did not want me to be trying to catch Santa Claus every year. So this year, I noticed some activity, and I was able to peek around the corner and see something very large coming into the house, and behind it was a very big, heavy-set man. So I assumed that had to have been Santa Claus, and he was bringing something very big into the house, and I would find this out tomorrow. But this satisfied my quest to at least get a glimpse of Santa Claus without getting caught by my parents. And basically, the next day, it turned out when I woke up in the morning was this giant black instrument with keys on it. I had no idea what it was, and I started to try to learn it on my own, figuring it was brought by Santa Claus. There must be a good reason for it. So that started my journey in music by me trying to figure it out on my own. And then finally, I got kind of caught trying to sneakily learn the piano by myself without anybody knowing. And that led to piano lessons, and one thing led to another. And eventually, here I am today.
Wow, Rick. Speaking about piano and music and the work you do with Jazz for Peace, could you just play something little for us now? I know you are supposed to play something at the end. I'm hoping you still play something at the end. But now that we're talking about it, before you go into talking about some of your biggest accomplishments with Jazz for Peace, where you've traveled and performed across Africa and built a lot of relationships across Africa and the world. I was surprised that you've been in Seattle multiple times as well. So I want you to just play a little something for us before we continue with our show today.
Okay, sure. So this is the Jazz for Peace poem that actually led me to Africa. It was written on the day of 9/11 when I was watching the events of the World Trade Center from the roof of my building. That's going to lead into a kind of a free improvisation, which we call Free JA, which is to try to send a message that we really need to protect our inalienable rights, such as freedom of speech, and especially journalists, the opportunity for them to report on the truth, so that we don't have, so that we can correct our mistakes and learn about things that happen, whether they are good or bad. And that's going to lead into a little song about social justice that was actually recorded by Elvis Presley called "In the Ghetto." I hear jazz for peace coming through the trees. In my heart it fills me like a celebration. I see the light I want to follow, inspired by the past contributions of those that came before and laid the groundwork for us to build on in this universal language. There's a gift for all mankind. Let me speak it. People are enlightened by the creativity and artistry that stands for peace and love and humanity. And intelligence that leads to reaching potential that we have in our souls. So we can raise our total conscience and see that the gift of giving is our greatest privilege. I hear jazz for peace. The snow flies on a cold and gray Chicago morning. A poor little baby child is born in the ghetto, and his mama cries. So there's one thing that she don't need, it's another hungry mouth to feed in the ghetto. Well, people, don't you understand? A child needs a helping hand. You could be an angry young man someday. Take a look at you and me. Are we too blind to see? Do we simply turn our heads and look the other way? well, the world turns. And a hungry little boy with a runny nose plays in the streets as the cold wind blows in the ghetto. And his hunger burns. So he starts to roam the streets at night, and he learns how to steal and he learns how to fight in the ghetto. Then one night in desperation, the young man breaks away. By guns are trying to do. As the crowd gathers round, an angry young man face down in the street with a gun in his hand in the ghetto. And as the young man dies, Chicago a little bit out in the ghetto. And his mama cries.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, Rick, for such a beautiful, performance. I just loved it, and I hope that our audience members who are watching and listening also enjoyed it. Thank you. Tell us about Jazz for Peace. Many people are doing different things. I have been involved in a lot of non-profit organizations, community work, and I have also interacted with a lot of jazz musicians who have been involved in Madaraka Festival that I produced. Seattle is like the mecca of music, and there are a lot of jazz great musicians in this area. I want you to just talk about why Jazz for Peace and some of your greatest accomplishments with it.
Yeah, so basically, Jazz for Peace is a way to use the arts to fund outstanding cause, which is what we've been trying to do is use all of these billions of dollars that corporations make, polluting the world, but in doing so, providing product, they make a lot of money, and hopefully some of it trickles down to the arts. As we all know, that's not anywhere near what it needs to be to heal our planet. And so Jazz for Peace is representing the opposite. What we're representing is trickle up. So we are actually, we are the funder, and we're funding outstanding causes. So when you get funded from Jazz for Peace, instead of, you're getting the funding first. And then when the outstanding cause does its good work, the funds trickle up into the world instead of waiting for it to trickle down. And we also even have a cryptocurrency that we've launched in order to supersize that and make it even more helpful to outstanding causes. So any outstanding cause can receive funding from Jazz for Peace. And because of that, over 850 of the world's most outstanding causes have already been funded, including 9 outstanding causes in Africa and tons of them in Seattle. And one of the great things about Seattle when we help an outstanding cause, which we've done many, is basically Seattle, as you mentioned, has so many great jazz musicians. So I'm able to come out to Seattle and invite different jazz musicians to be part of the Jazz for Peace performance. So the performance basically consists of, the Jazz for Peace ensemble is myself and a handful of Seattle's finest jazz musicians.
That's beautiful. I can foresee the next one. And I will touch base with you so that we can talk about the next one in Seattle and also the next one in Kenya. Kenya and Seattle, I have been involved in creating a bridge between Kenya and Seattle. So there are a lot of great jazz musicians from Seattle who are currently influencing the jazz scene in Kenya. We have a horn section in Nairobi known as Nairobi Horns Project, and I've worked a lot with them. But they've also worked with the Grammy winning, trumpet player called Owora Runga, who is from Seattle. And it's just amazing that we connected, and I can't wait to continue building and learning from you. And I really, really commend you for the work that you're doing, especially with this idea of trickle up. But I want to take a moment here, Rick, and just invite a few other voices to our conversation. We have an audience that has been listening to us and also watching us. So maybe we'll take about 4 people just briefly. We are going to hear their voices here. This is the format of our show, and then after that I want you to just listen keenly. If there is something they say that inspires you, I want you to share it in the end of our time together. But also I want you to prepare to let our audience members know how we can support the amazing work that you do, and also how we can stay in touch with you. So I want to quickly bring on Lavender to just say hi quickly and let us know where in the world you're joining us from, and what does today's proverb mean to you, and also let me know if you have any comments to my special guest today.
Hi Simon. Hi everyone. This is Lavender. Joining from Seattle, Washington. I'll be quick. I'll just say I'm excited and I want to listen more from our special guest and everybody else. Thank you, Simon, for the opportunity to be had. Thank you.
Wonderful, Lavender. Thank you very much for being here. I appreciate you. Let's go to Rushi. Rushi, how are you, my brother? And what are your perspectives on today's session and the proverb and our guest?
Thank you. Yeah, I think this is great. I wasn't expecting to hear live music today, so I'm going to definitely keep it brief. I think that the information you say already said about the proverb is pretty accurate. One thing I will add is, you can't lying can get you a wife, but it won't keep her. But lying is reflective of yourself. So when you lie to someone else, you're lying to yourself first. Is the only thing I would add. And that's the only thing I have for this Friday. Thank you, and I can't wait to hear more music. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you again, my brother Rushi. Let's go to Brother Earth. How are you? Where are you joining us from? And briefly share your comments on the proverb and the session today. Okay, we'll go to Stella. I think Brother Earth is away from his phone. Stella, how are you? Where are you joining us from? And what are your thoughts on today's session? Oh, he's here now. Go ahead, Brother Earth.
Okay, peace and love, family. That's my apologies. My apologies. Honestly, you and all the family members who are coming forth from wisdom of the ancestors, Brother Earth. I'm from the North Carolina territory, and when I look at this proverb, what it makes me think of is a saying that the old folks used to say back in the day: "Don't let your mouth write a check that your ass can't cash." Excuse my French right there, but basically meaning, you know, you can um, say things or what have you, put certain stuff out there, but if you don't have the means to what you talking about, eventually, what you think you got is it's only gonna be temporary because you don't really have what it takes to sustain what it is that you lie to or lie for. So that's.
Thank you, brother. Today I had a hard time hearing you very well. Your network was not so good, so there was your voice was dragging, but your presence is felt. Thank you. Stella, how are you doing? Where are you? And what are your thoughts on today's proverb or the conversation with our special guest, Rick?
Thank you, Simon. Hello, everyone. This is Bella from Kenya, and I really enjoyed when he was playing the piano. Earlier on, I was just listening to John Legend play piano on his latest song, and it's like he just kept me with the piano going. So I really loved that moment. Otherwise, on today's proverb, uh, I think it's just a warning and a teaching to us that you should not like put people like let me say like make someone believe what you don't intend to do in future. So even if you don't have to say the truth up front, then you can just keep quiet so that in future people are not disappointed, something like that. So I think that's the teaching the proverb is trying to give us today. Otherwise, thank you.
Thank you so much, Stella. I appreciate you. And I also appreciate Lavender and the One Vibe team for all the amazing work that you all do. I want to come back to our guest. Before I do that, though, I just want to welcome those who are just joining us. This is the African Father in America podcast. We are live streaming on YouTube, and we're also live on Clubhouse in the African Father in America Club. If you haven't followed the club, make sure you do so and nominate a few people to also join the club. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel on YouTube, make sure you do so. That's one of the ways that you can support this amazing work that we are doing here consistently. Now, Rick, I want to bring the microphone back to you so that you can quickly say share with us anything you heard from the audience that inspired you, and then share with us how we can stay connected with you and how we can support the amazing work you do with Jazz for Peace.
Well, I'd like to thank everyone who was listening, and especially the guests who called in. It was great to hear your voices and to listen to your thoughts and perspective. And I hope each of you will stay in touch with Jazz for Peace. The one reason that we've been to so many places, Pakistan to Nepal to the south of India to all over the United States, it was actually a person in Seattle, Washington, who was one of the sponsors of an event we did in Pakistan. Because he did all of his research, we were trying to address the problem with illiteracy in Pakistan, and he had done his research and he decided that the best way for him to address illiteracy in Pakistan was through Jazz for Peace, because we not only raise funds, but raising funds all by itself is really not a lot, because it's just one little piece of the puzzle. You still have to generate publicity and awareness for the organization you do worldwide. You have to make the organization more prestigious. So we have one of our branches of our empowerment tree is new and prestigious supporters. More sponsored. We help organizations get sponsors at the local level and at the national level. We teach them fundraising techniques that we've learned from over 850 outstanding causes. And extremely important, we rejuvenate their support group by making them VIP guests of honor and reward them at the event with VIP meet and greet, all kinds of perks and amenities from sponsors, gifts and beverages and food, depending on who the sponsors are, preferred seating, and just a multitude of awards that rejuvenates them. And we also use that platform to expand their donor base. So by doing all that, this person felt that in Seattle that this was the best way for the most bang for his buck to address illiteracy in Pakistan. So anyway, we hope that you will all use this information to help outstanding causes in your area, wherever you are. As we know, Seattle is where some of these people are calling in. And one time I was at a Seattle airport coming back from an event. I'm at the Seattle airport. I had just played the night before in Seattle, And in the line, waiting in the line to check in line, was a man from the military. He had all of his military stuff on, and he was there. And I thought, that's interesting. I didn't know they had a military base in Seattle. That's kind of strange. Do they even have one? And I was just thinking about it. All of a sudden, the man, because you're going on this little, around, you go, it's like a ramp, you're going around and passing him every now. One of the times I passes him, he says, "Hey man, loved your show last night." And I said, "What? You were at the show?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, I thought you were from the military. There's a military base." He said, "There's no military base. I said, "Where are you flying to?" He goes, "I'm going to, I think it was Arizona." His military base was in Arizona. He's a member of the military, and he flew to Seattle to attend a Jazz for Peace concert. And he said to me, "What you are doing is exactly what we need, because we are also peacemakers ourselves. And the last thing we want to do is, kill people and, see people die and all this kinds of stuff." And he said, "You're helping to avoid the whole process in the first place, if only what you do would grow." Oh, so to contact us. One ways to contact us is to watch this show, watch Simon on this show today. And with the information you learn and the music you heard, write a little email to Jazz for Peace, and you can send it to info@jazzforpeace.org. Just your honest comment. Now, our funding is based on a comment that we turn into funds, and it's based on a tree. So basically, your comment is like a little seedling that, comes down to the ground. And what we'll do, if you are affiliated with an outstanding cause that we can fund, we then help you to collect the same comments from your board members, your team members, etc. Those form the roots of the tree. Okay? Then we assist you to expand that so that we can grow your donor base by getting comments from other people that are friends of yours, that, maybe you do things with, activities, but not currently contributing to your outstanding cause. We bring them in and expand your base. Those are the roots of your empowerment tree. And our slogan is, help us plant the roots so we can grow your empowerment tree. Now, our website, and of course, my personal website, rickdelarada.com. Another last thing you could do, which I tell people to do for fun, and this is especially work you because you are of your proverb, and I know you have a different proverb for each show. I love quotes from great people. I love to read the famous quotes. Well, if you type in Rick Delarada famous quote into Google, you will be accessing thousands of famous quotes websites that have utilized my quote, my famous quote. They took it from an interview and it became a famous quote. You can click on that, and now you're on a site. Not only read my quote, but the quotes from all of these other great people. And I'm sure you will find it inspiring.
Wow, yeah, you have so many layers. You're like,
Kwame Nkrumah, by the way.
yeah, I just
Yeah, Kwame Nkrumah is one of the people that you'll be able to read. From Ghana, he probably has a few quotes on those sites. I did a concert for him in Ghana. We'll have to talk about that on the show when we have more time.
Well, talk about that. Talk about that concert for Kwame Nkrumah, because that's the father of Africa, you know.
Oh, you have time? Okay.
No, just talk briefly about that. Yeah, that's important.
Yes. Oh my God, this is an incredible story. I'll try to keep it short, Simon, because it's amazing. So here's what happened. There was a guy who grew up in Ghana. He had moved to London, and he was in London. He wanted to help his country, and he wanted to help people, and he'd been following Jazz for Peace. And he'd been following it and watching it. We didn't really know. We don't know, because we work with so many people write to us and all that. So we had no idea that he was keeping his eye on our growth and he saw us going to Africa, helping people in Rwanda, helping people in Kenya, helping Uganda. And finally, he was like a boiling frog, The water was so hot, and he just jumped out of the pot and said, "That's it. I've got to contact Jazz for Peace. I have to do this." And he has an organization in Ghana called Youth with a Global Vision. And he wanted to have the event at the birthplace of Kwame Nkrumah. So I flew into Accra, okay, and he met me, and we went over to the statue, the big statue of, if you ever go to Accra, you'll see it, where there's a museum and a giant statue of Kwame Nkrumah. And all the children came running, they jazzed for peace, and they're going crazy. And then we went out on this long journey to Esiama, which is all the way on the coast. And we went to the birthplace, and they had just got electricity. They own part of the electricity. We were able to even help people because the corner, it's on the the borderline with Cote d'Ivoire, and there was genocide issues there, and the people had spilled over into Esiama, where the beach is, and we actually incorporated them into the event. And you have to watch some of the videos. It is Sky TV covered it. It is phenomenal. And that's why I'm telling you, make this journey a part of your life. You'll be so glad. And I will be the happiest for bringing you joy through this organization.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rick. I just appreciate you and your storytelling as well. And I congratulate you for the work that you're doing with Jazz for Peace and the lives that you're transforming. And I can't wait to stay connected with you. I wish you a very nice rest of your day and also a beautiful weekend. And to our amazing audience members who are live here with us on Clubhouse and also YouTube, I deeply appreciate you. This is the end of our show today. Make sure you take good care of yourselves. We will be back here on Monday, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Remember, we do this Monday to Friday, 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's 4 p.m. East African Time. So I really, really appreciate you all. Take good care of yourselves. Rick, thank you so much.
Thank you, Simon.
African father in America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. Africa, tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze. America. Tujikaze, tujikaze, jikaze.
You are listening to African Father in America podcast by Simon Javan Okello, live from Seattle, Washington.